Welcome back, fellow gamers. I want to talk to you today about the announcement that rolled out today for Magic the Gathering. That's Metamorphosis 2.0. So at first I'm just going to detail what it is and just highlight the key points. And then I'm going to give you just my opinion and what I think about it. And I'll encourage you to also share your opinion and thoughts about the, pretty sizable change that's going on right now with Magic the Gathering that Wizards of the Coast is kind of enacting. So feel free to let me know in the comments. The first big change is the removal of blocks. So now we're just going to have 3 big sets plus a core set. So the core sets are coming back, but I'll touch on that in a second. The 3 big sets are going to be either individually linked or they will be strung out in however many blocks as the creative or design team will need to really flesh out that either a whole story or that mechanic or just tying things together for a standard environment. So we're not going to be tied to 2 blocks for a single set. What this means is we can theoretically get 1 set on 1 plane, or we can get 3, 4, 5 sets on the same plane. There's no written rule at this point in order for us to go from hopping planes. We could theoretically follow a planeswalker for a few sets as they go through planes. Like maybe if Garrick was still hunting planeswalkers, we would be able to follow him through the actual journey of hunting these planeswalkers, which would be pretty cool if Garrick was still hunting planeswalkers. Anyways, just to give you an idea, so it's no longer like shackled and bound to 2 sets per block. So as I mentioned, core sets. Core sets are back. This will be aimed at a new audience. So people who are just getting into Magic the Gathering, this will be an introductory product for them, but a pack product. So it's not going to be replacing the Planeswalker decks. It looks like this is going to focus on, easy to grasp mechanics. Pretty much what the goal of, Magic 2010 was moving forward. And that's great. Again, I'll give you my opinion on all of it in a second. That's where that's going. So while we're getting 3 large sets, we're also getting a core set. So still 4 set releases in a year, but they're all going to be, looks like, larger sets. Now, the third change is less Gatewatch. So what this means is there's a high focus, obviously, since the Magic Origins set released, of having a large amount of focus on the Gatewatch, whether that was them appearing on cards, them being the central plot device to move the story forward. There's still a protagonist that Magic will focus on, but there will be less of them, so it's not going to be so much of be in your face and having these planeswalkers pushed on you at every single opportunity. So we might be able to get to see different planeswalkers. And along with having a different approach to the Gatewatch, we're also going to see less pushed story cards. So a card like Emrakul, the Promised End, won't be as tour de force as it was. Now this is because they felt I don't know if it was the creative team or the design team, or it was just this mandate that came from somewhere else completely, where a focal story point should be on a great card. So we should see those cards in tournament play. And honestly, it made for a lot of unfun interaction, with Emrakul. So the next one is fewer masterpieces. They will no longer be in every single set. Now, my opinion is already known on this. I did a video a few months back saying that, when they announced that they were going to be doing it in every set, I said they should not be doing it in every set. So I guarantee you they listen to me and they're like, yeah, this guy's correct. But no, so Our Devastation will still have a Masterpiece series, but moving forward, the next block, or the next set rather, it's still a block for Elixirland or whatever it's called. We'll still have 2 sets on that, and there will not be any Masterpieces going through on there. Finally, the last change is they're actually adding an extra team to make sure that the research and development team is being properly not only just staffed, because it's not reporting the same team. They're a different team that's manned by somebody completely different, and then from there they're going to be in charge of just seeing how the mechanics work and everything. I know Melissa Del Toro is going to be on the team, as well as a few other people. Are going to make some more announcements apparently later on in the week. But this here is the goal of really refining the cards that are being pushed out as a final product. That's exciting. I'm really excited to see what that entails, but that's all behind the scenes stuff for this change here. So those are the big changes that are going to be going down. My thoughts, well, I find it's a bit hasty in looking at the changes that were really implemented weren't implemented that long ago. The 2-block structure is fairly new. It started obviously from Battle for Zendikar, so we've gone through, I think it's about three or four blocks. Not really enough time to really look at how everything shakes out. The standard rotation just changed. I, for one, I'm totally for removing masterpieces from each and every set. That was one of the things that I was really not happy with. But I'm looking at it as a whole. I'm like, is this really, like, are they making too many changes too quickly? Are they not really giving things time to settle? I don't know. I feel it's a bit quick, but on the over and under, I'm really for the changes that are happening here. So I'll break down each of the changes one by one in my view. Okay, so the removal of blocks and going to just three big sets and a core set is awesome. First off, I like the idea of not having to be tied to 2 blocks absolutely in any given situation. It makes it so that you're either forced storytelling or you're forcing mechanics, and it's uninspired. Or not that it's uninspired, because people who work on Magic the Gathering, like, they love their job and they want to make a great product. It just feels like it's like they're like, okay, well, we got to try this because we have to fill up the set. That's what I meant by uninspired. That was a poor choice of the words. Regardless, so that's really good. And not only from a storage perspective, it allows us to hop more frequently. So there's the example that I gave where, if we're following a planeswalker, that's really awesome. But also, if we want to do, one set in Kamigawa, perfect. That opens up the opportunity for something like going to Kamigawa for a set, testing the waters to see if players like this new space that they're exploring in Kamigawa, because it's a situation where you don't want to go and do the exact same thing, since Kamigawa was not that popular during its original run. So I think, obviously Wizards of the Coast is going to prioritize popular planes over a plane like Kamigawa that has a vocal minority, or so it seems. I don't know. To me it feels like it's a majority, but that's just me. So it gives us that opportunity, but it also gives us an opportunity to really flesh out another plane. So if we want a huge new Phyrexia storyline, or we've got a lot of space, a lot of design space to go and do things on new Phyrexia, it really gives us more room to play in. And I'm saying us as if I'm Wizards of the Coast. It gives Wizards of the Coast more room to play in, and they're not bound by just the two sets in a block, so they could really stretch it out. Now, obviously, yeah, there's player fatigue. Maybe they want to get off a certain plane, but nothing's to say that they can't go away from New Phyrexia and come back like a year later. It allows us to visit more worlds more frequently, and worlds that might not be as deep. It's great. One of the things that I missed about the three set block is the beginning, middle, and end. So while it was really good for Kaladesh, or even what we kind of are seeing with Amonkhet, where we're having the Stark before and after, that's awesome. But we look at Dragons, or just Tarkir in general, we had Khans of Tarkir, Fate Reforged, and Dragons of Tarkir. That was awesome because they're 3 very distinct spots, and I think having block structured like that was phenomenal. I loved it, and I know a lot of other players did as well. So to be able to possibly get that, but also get a 2-block set or a 1-block, it's not even, there's no blocks anymore. It's sets, and that's one of the things I like, is I keep interchanging blocks and sets, and that's just incorrect. So having a set, or story spread over a set, 2 sets, 3 sets, whatever amount of sets is the way to go. I'm really excited for that. And I always felt that the removal of core sets was a mistake. I loved core sets. 2 of my favorite sets are M10 and M11. Now, yeah, like the original Innistrad is great and everything, but I have like soft spots for those 2 sets in particular. I always thought that they're just packed full of goodness and fun. Every time I opened a pack, there's just something fun about it, whether it was to slot into my decks or just to play, small sealed games. The first limited I played was M11, and I had pulled Primeval Titan, right, in the pre-release. So obviously I did well, and that obviously skewed my perception of M11. But those M10s, M11s, I know M12 for a lot of people, they also like that as well, but M10, M11 is what I really loved. But not only that, it gave you a mix of new and old. It was easy to bring players into that as like a jumping on point, but it also allowed for reprints that we wouldn't not necessarily be able to get in other sets. So we look at now, I would not be surprised to see something like Lord of Atlantis and the Urza lands be in the first core set. But I just thought it was a mistake because there's just certain reprints that if you want to get into a standard environment, you cannot. And having an opportunity here to do that is not only great, but it also allows us to get more reprints that don't necessarily have to be on flavor. But it also provides us another opportunity to touch base on certain planes that maybe Wizards of the Coast has no intention of visiting. So again, Kamigawa, or maybe going through a different timeline, like maybe going back to the Fate Reforged era and grabbing some more people that are from there. I don't know. There's more opportunity to just go back and pull from Magic's past and either build upon it or just say, hey, remember this guy from this plane? Well, this is what he is now, and this is what's going on there. I really like Magic Origins for that because you had, like Lauren, you had all these other updates from all these either new planes or existing planes, so it was really cool. I really like that, and I'm really excited. I'd also like to see those designed by cards. So they had in M15 those I guess they're not vanity cards. They're just cards that are designed by people who did not work at Wizards of the Coast. I love that. I hope we get to see that again. That was for me, like some of those cards, like the Sand Wandering Bard is amazing. Now, seeing the Gatewatch less often or having less emphasis placed on them, I think is a good call. There are a lot of people who just aren't interested in the Gatewatch. One of my favorite stories from the longest time was one that was in Amonkhet recently, and it was, we followed Samut during one of her journeys and everything. That was really awesome. I really enjoyed that. I enjoy seeing more of the plane and less of people just being on the plane. I want to know the particularities of the plane. I want to know the people of the plane. I don't want to necessarily always know how Jason and Liliana are flirting with each other just with a different backdrop. And that's not to take away from the writing that the people have done for the Magic story, because I think that Magic story has gone a long way. It's really evolved into something special. So that previous comment was not a knock at the writers, more a knock at the direction that I guess their managers or the people, the superiors, tried to take it. So really, they did great with the material that they were told to write, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else the Gatewatch will do, but just having them plastered all over the place wasn't doing anything positive for the game. Now, the Masterpiece series, we all know my opinion on the Masterpiece. It was a huge mistake to do it in every single set, and while it wasn't really a mistake leading up to Amonkhet, I thought in the long haul it would have been a terrible mistake. So I'm happy that they nipped that one in the butt before it really got any further, because if it got further, we would have probably run out of significant cards to reprint, but we were going to run into situations where they weren't special anymore. People wouldn't have looked to collect them, so they would have had to try the one-up themselves even further, more than, like if it's like double diamond, like pseudo anime style characters, something stupid. It would have ended up something stupid like the baseball and football and hockey card industry, even comic books, like with these first edition, 0 edition, -1 edition stupidities that they have in those respective collectible areas. And I speak from experience as somebody who used to collect comics and somebody who used to collect hockey cards. So good on Wizards of the Coast for identifying that and changing it when they had the opportunity. I, for one, don't necessarily, I don't agree with the general sentiment that the Amonkhet invocations were bad. I like the difference and what they tried with the invocations. I get that people didn't like the hard to read stuff, but come on. How many times, like, you see the card a few times, you know what it is. And these are all existing cards except for the gods. So what's the big deal in that sense? That argument where the title and the creature type or the card type was too hard to read was bogus. That was people just looking to complain. So I don't subscribe to that. I still commend Wizards for trying something special with the invocations. I think the card selections were also good. Doesn't need a theme. They were good cards that you can flavorfully paint over and the cards look beautiful. Like I have a Consecrated Sphinx. I think it looks beautiful. I'm really happy to have it. So that reason I don't agree with. I agree with the reason of taking them out because they're not going to be as special, and you're just going to have player fatigue or collector fatigue where it's just not viewed as special anymore. So perfect. So the new group in RD, the play design team, that is really cool. Any more checks and balances to really make sure that we're pushing cards out onto a final set that are playable, are fun to interact with, I'm all for. I think the big problem here with the way standard is or pack sales isn't necessarily that they made broken cards. While that will turn certain people off of Magic the Gathering, competitive scene, I think that a lot of the problem lies within just not making cards that are resonant for the long haul. Like if I want to crack open packs, I want to make sure I'm getting something good in return, something I can use. I haven't bought packs in the longest time, and I didn't even redeem foil sets of Kaladesh or Aether Revolt because there just wasn't enough in the sets that I'm going to be slotting into decks that I would be making. So why am I going to spend so much money on them? I'll just pick up 2-3 cards here or there. And the same goes true with the argument that people had for, invocations or just masterpieces in general being able to lower the set of standard. And people are saying, well, it was really successful, and now we're going to have card prices spike back up. I think that people are not yes, while probably some extra packs were open on people on a whim trying to get an invocation or an invention, I think those numbers didn't really inflate that much, because as a collector, if you're really collecting this stuff, is it really worth it for you to, let's say, buy $50 worth of packs hoping to crack a masterpiece and then ending up with maybe $8 to $9 worth of cards that probably $7 of those dollars are just bulk you won't be able to move, so you're left with maybe a $5 card, maybe a $1 card that you can trade somewhere? Or is it better to just spend the $50 or even $60 and get the card that you really want? I'm a collector for the Masterpiece series, and that has not incentivized me to buy a single pack. I'm just spending the money that I would on Magic the Gathering on those few cards. I don't think the price packs justify the quality of cards that are in there, the power level of cards. I realize that we can't always be pushing the envelope and having power creep, but you should at least make cards that are interesting, cards that have a significant drawback with a really good ability with a lower cost. I think that's the way to go. I think that looking at the actual layout of standard, there are very few cards in Amonkhet that are getting played, and that's that reflects the price of sets, so the EV. So while people are looking at buying cards for their sets, they're not cracking packs. They're just paying a lot less for those singles. And that's what those competitive players would have been doing anyways. The general line that people say is, you crack packs for sealed or draft, and even cracking packs just for fun isn't really that good of a thing to do. It's not a good proposition. It's a losing proposition. So people who are playing constructed are loving the fact that you can get cards cheaper, but it's because the quality of the cards, the power of the cards aren't really there, and I think that's what's really doing it. So that's my opinion on the changes. I would love to know what you have to say about the changes going down. Let me know in the comments. If you'd like to check out some of my other videos, you can do that right there, and if you'd like to subscribe, you can do that right there. It really helps the channel out, but not only that, it lets you know when we upload new content. I'd like to thank you for making me a part of your day, and until next time, good gaming.